In this video, we describe the possible inconsistencies regarding the historical file and how to deal with them. Inconsistencies are warnings and errors that Conceiver found in the original file. You can look at them in the text area contained in this pane. When parsing an historical data file, two main categories of warnings and errors can be found: issues stemming from erroneous parsing, real issues of the original file. In the former case, you need to refine the settings in the format pane to give Conceiver exact information about the file structure and number format. In the latter case, you need to deal with the faultiness of the file. No matter how authoritative and reliable the historical data provider might be, historical data can definitely be faulty, contain inconsistent or missing data. For example, the open price might not have been recorded and appears as 0 or with a wording such as null. As another example, the high quote might be not really the highest value and is lower than the close price. So we should give for granted that in an historical file there could be imperfections, and yet we can't dismiss the whole file for that. We must deal with them. Conceiver offers various methods or rules to apply to the file in order to make it usable anyway, despite its shortcomings. These rules allow to handle and manage inconsistencies and to work even with faulty data. No matter how sound and reasonable these rules might be, by applying them we are introducing something arbitrary. Whatever we do, we are altering the reality recorded in the file, dismissing or modifying data in subjective ways. So keep this in mind when applying these rules. There is no magic that can retrieve wrong or missing data in the file. As a consequence of the previous point, Conceiver lets you apply rules a maximum number of times per file. The purpose is to make usable some data with imperfections, to take care of just a few problematic lines, not to invent or fabricate contrived data. This is why, if the rules should be applied a number of times beyond a certain threshold, Conceiver will disable the button Apply. Remember that only the internal representation of the file will be affected by the application of the rules, while the historical file will not be changed in any way. Rules are methods or routines that can be applied to an historical file in order to amend its inadequacies or to simply inform the user about something unusual. To see the available rules, press the button Edit. As an alternative, you can open it through the menu Tools, Options, Historical File. The Options tab dedicated to the rules pops up. By checking the checkbox, dismiss lines where date and/or time is undefined. Lines where the date and/or time are undefined are ignored. This might be the case in the following example, where one entry is missing in the file and this fact is reported with a wording such as null. The line with the null is a faulty line and will be dismissed. An unparsable number is a number written in such a way that it is incomprehensible. By checking the option Dismiss lines where numbers are unparsable, lines where even just one of the following is unparsable are dismissed. Open, high, low, close volume. This might be the case in the following example, where one entry for the close is missing in the file, and this fact is reported with a dash or a null. The number with the dash or the null is unparsable, and the whole line will be dismissed, even if the other data on the same line are fine. The values open, high, low, close volume, if they exist, should never be 0. If they are, there are three options to deal with them, selectable through dedicated radio buttons. Leave them as they are, dismiss the line, linear interpolation. With the option Leave them as they are, no actions will be taken if a value is 0. For instance, this could be fine if a lot of volume values are 0, which happens for some quotes dating way back, when volume was not recorded and the volume appears only from a certain date onward. In such a case, you can select this option and either just not use algorithms involving volumes or use them knowing that they will be active only when volume is present. With the option Dismiss lines where at least one of the following is 0, lines where at least one of the values corresponding to the selected checkboxes are 0 will be ignored. In a situation where the volume values are present only from a certain point onward, you might unselect the volume checkbox and select all the others. With the option Linear Interpolation, values at 0 will be substituted by computing a linear interpolation. The linear interpolation is a straight line. The left point of the line is found by looking back until a non-zero value is found for the same field, for instance open. The right point of the line is found by looking forward until a non-zero value is found for the same field. All the values at 0 will be given the value of the straight line, that is the linear interpolation. The computed value will then be adjusted to make it coherent with the other ones. For instance, the low value can be higher than open, high, or close, so if the interpolated value doesn't satisfy that relation, it will be set at the minimum between open and close. By checking the option Force High to Max and Low to Min, if the high of the price is not really the greatest value and the low is not the least, they are forced to be. So, for instance, high is forced to be the maximum between open, low, and close. This option is applied to high only if the high field exists, that is, the correspondent spinner has a value other than 0, and the value for high is not equal to 0, because it is conceived to deal only with light incongruities of data. Analogously for low. The volume gap from price setting helps to pinpoint the right volume column. A warning is signaled if the volume has a value similar to the price. More precisely, if the volume differs from the price less than the percentage indicated in the spinner. This is so because usually the volume has a very different value from the price. However, it is perfectly legitimate to have the volume in the same range of the price. This rule option differs from the others in that the warning is signaled in the volume spinner, not in the Inconsistencies pane. If you want to omit this check, set the spinner to 0. A split happens when a stock is split in two, each having half of the value as before. The ratio can be any, not necessarily 1 to 2. It is usually done when the stock price gets too high. On the contrary, a reverse split happens when two stocks are merged into one, having the double of the previous value. The ratio can be any, not necessarily 2 to 1. It is usually done when the stock price gets too low. When this happens, the price seems to halve or to double, but it is only a consequence of the split or reverse split, respectively. In actuality, the price remains the same, save for the normal change from one entry to the other. As the abrupt change of price in case of splits can be misleading, Conceiver gives you a warning in the Inconsistencies pane. The value in the spinner split threshold is a threshold used to identify probable splits and reverse splits. Splits are recognized as the average of the current date being lower than the average of the previous date divided by the threshold. Reverse splits are recognized as the average of the current date being greater than the average of the previous date multiplied by the threshold. If you want to suppress these warnings, just select a very big number here, where big depends on the order of magnitude of the price. If you edit the historical file options, make them effective by pressing the Apply or OK buttons in the Options window. Rules can be applied by pressing in the Inconsistencies pane the button Apply, and unapplied by pressing the button Unapply. For the radio buttons, see the User Interface chapter for recommendations.